I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we are watching Made in Abyss, Season 1, Episode 8. Last episode, Reg got stomped. This episode, training, maybe. 10 days. Liza did it.
We're thinking, yeah.
I'm kind of assuming.
Yeah, definitely assuming, too. I mean, if Ozen was her master.
And Ozen's much older as well. If it's enough to recommend to Reg and Rico, I think that there's potential that it was enough for Liza to go through.
And there are some rules. There are definitely some rules. We can't go past this one very tall, skinny tree in the distance.
Yep.
And Reg can't use his incinerator, which I think is a very smart thing to point out for him. That, like, hey, you get incapacitated for like 10 minutes after you use it. So don't do that. Think about Rico, okay?
Let's hopefully not return to being a corpse.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. God, the outfit is so cool.
This
looks like
irredeemable
Toph.
lesson.
That wouldn't be good.
Don't hesitate.
I love Ozen's voice.
So how tough do you think this lesson is going to be?
Tough.
This survival. Don't hesitate. Don't show any mercy.
You know what, so there are some characters in anime, or voices in anime more specifically, that really, like, make me think about how the fuck you would do that in dub. It's like such like a quick thought I have when certain characters arise. One example is in Demon Slayer, a character named Gyutaro, right?
It's my like staple character to think about for like voice acting.
Yeah. And Ozen's character is so well done that I'd be nervous to hear what the English dub would be like in hopes that it would be as good.
Do you try to make it your own, or do you try to emulate the Japanese voice actor there? I love this choice that, like, we're still having the word irredeemable, like, so heavily in the show. I love that it's Reg and Liza.
Yeah.
We say it at the beginning of this episode. That little sound reminds me of, like, Legend of Zelda.
Be a good text tone.
I don't like it. Don't run happily toward it.
I love it. That's cool.
No.
Huh.
Oh, okay. But wouldn't other creatures flock to a place of clear water? Is that like a hippo gator?
I love the way it's animated. Now they're all back. Making a shelter. Is that a violin?
But it attracts bugs.
Day 3.
Is that the pillar? The pillar tree? So they're being watched. Good, okay. I love that they're being examined. Like, they're actually being watched.
Mechanical doll. Day 5. Halfway there. That probably smells fantastic. And
Well,
do it right by your house.
Do it right by your house. Right? Can't
Cool!
through the tree. Mm.
The Annihilator. Love how she's drawn.
She
すまない、オーゼン。少し一人にさせてくれないか。あの間抜け面とお前が来て、ただでさえ丸くなったら。
Liza goes soft.
Now you do this to her.
あんなライザは見たかなかったよ。
Do you hear this music?
まったく厄介事を引き受けたもんだ。私は義理がたいのさ。
10 days are up.
They need some good showers, baths, and food. Though they did seem to have some good food during their survival.
僕なんてすぐ泣いちゃって。
Aww.
シーカーキャンプより奥ってほとんど真っ暗だし、王子様だけ途中で帰っちゃうし。リコと引き離された最後の方はあまりに心細くて。レグさんでもそうなっちゃうんですね。ちょっと安心しました。お腹空いてません。何か持ってきます。
He is so nice.
王然にやられた痛みも気づけばもうないな。リコ闇鍋が効いたのかな。
Hodgepodge.
よし、修復完了だ。この模様。
It's a different one. It evolves with you?
待ち人を殺したくなければ真相にはとどまるな、なんて古い言い伝えがあってね。時間の感覚が狂っちまうんだ。5層の深部で特に顕著なんだがね。数週間過ごしたつもりが地上に戻ってきたら数ヶ月。
Wow.
真相で生活しようなんて物好きは私ら白笛ぐらいなもんだがね。戻らぬ旅の君らには関係ない話に思えるだろうけど、問題は6層7層ではこの狂いがどの程度になるのか見当もつかない。ライザは我々が思ってるほど時を過ごしてはいい。
Has actually passed for her.
彼女が無事である可能性はよっぽど高い気がしないかい？
王然さん。
それでもなるべく5層にはとどまらない。
Don't stay in the 5th layer for long.
他の白笛と鉢合わせないようにするためさ。
That'd be bad?
亡骸の海は人が生きて戻れる限界の深さ。
Oh shit!
先導教選ばれしワクナ。
Wakuna the Chosen.
神秘のスラージュ。黎明教。 新しきボンドル。
Oh, we're gonna have to come back to that.
特にボンドルドは筋金入りのろくでなしだ。私みたいに優しくないから気を。
It's not kind like I am.
それは冗談なのか。レグ大丈夫？
封書に入ってた。奈落の底で待つ。あれ誰が書いたんだろうね。
So it really wasn't her writing.
やけに大きく書かれたいびつな筆跡。それに使われてる紙も紙じゃない。 未知の異物さ。
Unknown relic.
私の力でも破れないんだ。
Can't be ripped even with Ozen's strength.
一体奈落の底でライザと共に待ってるものは。あれ。
ブレイズリーブ。
Whoa.
その通り。
The one from the grave?
殲滅のライザがあまたの血を吸わせて、
ほ
例の常しえ港の軍政地に墓標みたいに刺さってたのさ。
Like she was leaving it maybe to give to Rico.
使えた後数回さね。
Huh.
ま、昔からたまに不発なポンコツだったよ。使い方を教えてやるよ。仮想法の代わりくらいにはなるだろう。 これから話すことは口外無用だ。
歴代白笛のラストダイブから漏れ伝えられ、彼らの間だけで口伝されているという秘密の数々。
Wow.
深海護送の海を越えるための謎めいた仕掛けのこと。
Cryptic
白笛
device.
の音色はある種の異物を起動する鍵であること。子供騙しは嫌いといった大勢の言葉は本当で、この怪物は最初から最後まで出し惜しみ
Held
をしなかった。
nothing back.
もう行っちまうのか。寂しくなるの。
王禅さんも冷たいんじゃないん？
いえ、いいんです。もういっぱいもらっちゃったから。
なんだ？
She's not there to
見
see
た目
them
に
all.
似合わずつつましいじゃん。
マルルクちゃん。やっぱり無理だって。帰ってきてくれたらどんなにいいかって。いろんな人がここから戻らない旅に行くのを送ってきました。僕、今日が一番悲しいです。
レイ君、あの子、いろいろ思い出すまで行かせたくはなかったな。ま
More of Reg's memories?
あの赤子、カゴから出した途端アビスの方へ張っていくなんて気味が悪いったらなかったね。
私の弟子もうんざりしていた。
弟子なんていたのかい？
Is it
ジル
later?
だ。会ったことあるだろ。俺は殲滅教の方がいいんで。
Oh, he prefers a different sovereign.
されてもないってことは、あの子がうまく隠し通して
Keeping her hidden.
よくて人質、悪ければ。
So Leader's been literally protecting Rico this whole time.
Yeah.
私の弟子は優秀なんだ。リコは私にとってあまりにも大事なんだ。尊いものの積み重ねが今のあの子を生かしている。このまま一緒にいたら、私はリコから冒険に挑む権利を奪い、そうなる前に私は行くよ。あの子がどんな道も選べるように。
Oh.
何を取り繕っているのかね。そこを見たくなっただけだろ。
再びリコが地の底を目指してあんたの前に立ったら教えてやってほしい。
自分が動く死体かもってことかね。
そうだ。どれだけの奇跡が君を動かしてきたのかってことと、その先で待つ素晴らしい冒険への挑み方を。
面倒だね。自分でやるね。ま、お前さんとこに送り出すぐらいならやってやるさ。まったくどしがたい。どしがたいね。
レグ、
Look at that drop.
準備はいい？
I'm not ready.
I'm so ready.
It's literally pushing up. The Great Fault. That's a good name for that.
Okay, that was Made in Abyss, Season 1, Episode 8. So, typically, if we're given some information that I'm not able to write down in time before we even start the discussion, I look for it and write it down. I'm not doing that this time because there is too much that
Too much.
I wish I could have written down and didn't catch. A couple of those things I want to go through during the discussion. We can click around like the other white whistles and everything.
Mhm. Oh yeah,
But-
especially like their names.
Yeah. Above all else, though, I fucking adore this show. I love this show so much. Like, just ignoring everything amazing that we got this episode in terms of detail that I want to talk about. Just my feelings are so... The lore, the dialogue, and especially, holy shit, that I have never heard better music in any piece of... in anything consistently,
that's
and
what
it's
you'd
so
say.
different, and it's so unique, and it's so thought out, and it's produced so well, and it is just
It's
brilliant.
emotional.
Yeah,
It totally immerses you, and I think that like it has such a great mood to it that I think I said this when we first started the show, or at least I felt it when we first started the show, that I felt like the music had this really lovely balance between like giving the energy of the unknown and how it can be scary, but also like the excitement of adventure at the same time, and how the music itself strikes that balance of like feeling the apprehension and maybe the nervousness towards something that is so grand and so unknown and so deep as the abyss, but also the excitement of getting to like discover it and
Yeah.
understand it at the same time.
I like the training aspect. I thought was going to be like, before going into this episode, I thought that, oh my god, the training, seeing the training that they're going to learn is going to be so cool to me, and like the best part of it.
I thought that was gonna be like heavy. Like,
I'm so glad it wasn't. I am blown away with what they've done for me in regards to Ozen's character and her connection with Liza. I am blown away. I didn't expect to feel so many things and so emotional in regards to how much Liza meant to Ozen, because the unmovable, right? Like that in my head isn't only physical, and it's how they come off to people and how people treat them.
Right, these are names not given by the people that hold the names. They are given to the people by the people in the surface, in the city of Orth, probably.
I'm so glad we got to see Liza as a kid in a previous episode, not being afraid and looking up to Ozen, because now when it's like, who hurt you? I'll annihilate those punks. Or just like the mutual level of respect and care that not only Liza has for Ozen, but what Ozen has for Liza here. Like, I was about to cry a couple times this episode, and I couldn't believe it. I'm gonna, yeah, okay.
The idea of Torka too.
Torka from my squad, and them being married, and then it going immediately to Ozen's face of like this like haunting despair because of what's to come. Yeah. Like,
and the line we get about what they've done to Liza.
Exactly. I'm looking for it because it needs to be read as it's written and not paraphrased. You and Dumbface came and made Liza go soft, and now you do this to her. Like, it's like...
Like, not only did you change the Liza that I knew, but now you have hurt her immeasurably.
But it comes, like, from such a place of love and caring for her that, like, it, like, breaks... It's, like...
I mean, especially, like, if you break down the fact that Ozen's using a bad nickname to talk about Torka, it's like a compensation there of, like, you know, calling him Dumbface isn't actually her being like mean or nasty. It's like, it's
I didn't want to see Liza in such a state. You know,
she didn't ever want to see this person that she cared about, that was her kind of partner in crime in this mentor-mentee relationship, apprentice. She didn't ever want to see Liza broken down.
Yep.
Or hurt or struggling or in pain.
I don't know. I loved it so much. Those are my favorite moments of the episode. Every time that we got a flashback, especially at the end, holy shit, seeing Liza's face, I was like, beautiful, perfect, gorgeous. Like, I'm glad that they kept the distance of her face drawn and the detail that it was away from us a little bit until now.
Until that ending shot, yeah.
And it made so much of a difference because it, like, I feel so, like, inspired, like, by it. I feel like so motivated, even though that there are horrors that I assume await us, and even though that there was clarification that this is a one-way trip. There are no returns, and that makes the conversations that Ozen and specifically Marok, like, very serious and very sad, and thinking about the people on the surface, right? Those are sad things.
That rule that the people that you leave behind, you'll like never see them again.
Yeah.
They'll be dead by the time.
And
that
how
you...
time is perceived differently. Like all of those things are inherently like fleeting and depressing things in, perhaps, but I am filled with nothing but like enjoyment and emotion and motivation in like a very strong way because of the delivery of it.
Right before we leave, like talking about the cube, I just want to say that another hint towards how Ozen actually feels about Rico and the vessel, that both times, both in the past when Rico was born, and then in the shot that we get right after where she's talking about like the burden, like she's taking on another burden, there is a tenderness to that hand touching the vessel.
100%.
It is not like if you would expect that this person was actually angry towards this vessel, at least in the past, there would have been more like a fist on the vessel, a not wanting to touch it at all, not like just laying your hand on it softly. It's not like the vessel's gonna break if you like put a little more force on in your hand, but there's a tenderness to, especially for someone so strong, Ozen, the immovable, known for immense strength, to have like a tender touch to this vessel.
How irredeemable. Like how, like it's the consistency of her saying that makes me so confident in like her, like Liza, if Liza heard "good grief, have taken on another burden," there wouldn't be a fucking question in mind that Liza wouldn't understand what Ozen actually means by that, right? Like, and it not being actually another burden to that degree of like like a negative emotion. There's that tenderness there of her saying
Liza
it.
wouldn't understand?
Yeah, like I'm saying that if Liza heard Ozen say, "good grief, I've taken on another burden now," in reference to the cube and Rico inside of it, Liza would completely understand that Ozen doesn't mean anything bad by it, and has that love and care because Ozen's character has been consistent since Liza was a kid, like, or very young, and Ozen is just, like, I love Ozen's character. I love the idea that it's like the language that she's using to a stranger would be perceived in a way that is completely off base of what is truly her like actual feelings.
There's that mystery there.
Yeah.
And she was intimidating to us upon first meeting, but we are now learning that the other White Whistle, she's basically like, do not approach.
Yeah.
Avoid. Do not, I'm the nice one.
Before we get to that, though, there was the different symbol on Reg's helmet here.
Yes,
and
the other one was a much more almost elaborate symbol that took up more of the circle.
Very crudely like that, but it still had a star-looking thing with 5 points around it, which makes me think that this is just like a more zoomed-in version of it to a certain degree, but I don't know. We don't have them pulled up next to each other, but I think that that's really interesting that this occurs after growth from him. And later on in the episode, there's a line that's dropped that we'll get to about memories being restored.
Yes. Can't forget that.
That I definitely want to look at, but we're getting to the place where, okay, first of all, whatever Ozen's eating, that like steak, I need it in my life.
I really actually I wrote something down from this scene, the scene of Ozen eating with them and having a meal. When Ozen stands up, this is just like a little detail that I really appreciated. You hear cracking, like I said, her, because Ozen is like really leaning down in order to like sit at this table because the stature of Ozen is inhuman. And so to then stand up, you hear like the cracking of the back and the neck, and I really appreciated that.
One thing that I also really appreciated was that when Ozen's telling them the idea of time being difference and what Rico's reaction to it was, you know what it made me like? It immediately, especially on clicking around and seeing it again, it's like that similarity that Rico and Liza seem to have of immediately understanding the intention behind what Ozen is saying and reason for saying it, rather than latching on to the grim nature that it might sound. Like the intent, the whole reason that Ozen seems to be doing this, other than giving them information, is to elicit a positive and hopeful response within these kids that Liza's still alive. And Rico's immediately able to latch onto that and be like, Ozen, thank you.
But also,
and
like, not the suffering. Like,
yeah.
if you think about that line a little bit more, you'd also think, well, that means that my mom hasn't been waiting too long for me. Hasn't been sitting there waiting for me for what would feel like 10 years. That makes you feel a lot less guilty for taking so long to come visit her.
Yeah. Okay, so that you don't bump into any of the other white whistles, the Death's fifth layer, the Sea of Corpses, is as deep as humans can go and return alive. I suppose some of them are there. Okay, gotta get my pen ready.
Okay. The Sovereign of Guidance.
Guidance. Wakuna the Chosen.
Mm-hmm.
What does their design elicit from you?
The name alone of calling yourself or being called the Chosen, their symbol looks like a whale or dolphin on their chest. Not that that needs to mean anything. Lots of hair.
It's so interesting to me that I, like, the way that they delivered the idea of white whistles to me at the beginning of the story made me feel a way that I feel completely different about now, right? That, like, there are these characters that are larger than life, that their personality isn't something, and their presence isn't something that's like, oh, yup, they're on the same team as everybody else.
Like, you want to party with them, they're, like, actually the, like, heroes or champions of society. There's, like, a darker twist to it.
Yeah, and it makes me really believe that the only type of person who could truly become a white whistle is somebody with a few fucking screws loose.
We've gotten lines about casting off humanity.
Yeah.
So I feel like to want to even stay down there for that long, or for reasons unknown to us, because they're separate people, so they probably have all of their own reasons.
There's a level of insanity that you need before even stepping into the insanity that the Abyss is going to give you to be able to go down there. The Sovereign of Mystery.
Mystery.
Okay. Mystery. Sarajo? I'm gonna say Sarajo, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a plague type mask. It looks like
the plague doctor mask.
With something on the chest as well. It's glowing. The Sovereign of Dawn. Bone Druid, the novel. They look like they have like a helmet on and like a pack on their back, maybe for like oxygen. Maybe they're like a diver. And again, something glowing on their chest.
They really do look like what are these Scooby-Doo villains, like, popping up here as white whistles?
So
like, let's unmask them, figure them out.
To meet them. Bondrude in particular is an out-and-out scoundrel. What does that even mean coming from Ozen? You know?
Like, there's no doubt about it.
He's not kind like I am.
Avoid him, especially at all costs. The other two, they're chill.
The slip in the sealed letter that said, at the netherworld's bottom, I'll be waiting, is a relic in of itself that could not be ripped. Yeah.
Ozen couldn't rip the paper. And not written by Liza.
Seemingly.
So that actually wasn't a lie, because we do learn from Ozen later on that Ozen doesn't trick children.
Yeah.
Holds nothing back with children. So of course that wouldn't have been a lie.
It's so, like, Ozen's expression of, like, what in the world is waiting down at the netherworld's bottom together with Liza? Like, it's, like, this morbid curiosity of, like, it's so infectious to me.
Mm-hmm. But I really love that, now that we get confirmation from this episode that Ozen would not have lied about anything, we know that Ozen has a very strong feeling that Liza's still alive, even though the only evidence is that she hasn't found the body of Liza being dead.
Yeah.
Liza no longer has the pickaxe, like, you know, so it's all just like this faith that what Liza said in that flashback that we'll get to at the end of the episode, believing that she is down there and that she's still alive.
Blaze Reap, right? The previous weapon or what it was, like the everlasting pickaxe, I think. Something is what they said that Liza had spilled so much blood with.
Yes. So I wrote down something from this scene, that Ozen compares it to the incinerator that Reg has, almost saying that like both of you guys have this thing that is really powerful,
Only
but
it comes
with issues. Like this piece of junk occasionally misfires. We know that Reg doesn't have full control over the incinerator yet. We also know that he is knocked out for like 2 hours after, and the fact that it could misfire for Rico's end with the pickaxe.
Yeah.
Like they have weapons, but these weapons come with their own like quirks and challenges.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that we did learn how to use it from Ozen before we left.
Yes, Ozen did say that. I believe Ozen said they were going to teach Rico how to use it.
And they also said that Liza probably already has a new weapon down below. And then I love...
Liza had to have left this for Rico, right?
Yeah, for sure. I loved the narration, too, of, like, the communication between Ozen and Reg and Rico before they left, of Ozen telling them the numerous secrets that have been transmitted from the last dives of many generations of white whistles. They're passed down by word of mouth among only themselves. Oh, this was such a poetic line. Perhaps those are the very deepest voices of the abyss that people are capable of carrying to us. It's amazing. We heard about the cryptic device for traversing the fifth layer's sea. About how a white whistle's timbre acts as a key to activate a certain class of relics, which would explain, you know, the, what do you call it? The cube.
The vessel.
The vessel.
Yes. Curse-repelling vessel.
Curse-repelling vessel. About the mysterious ring of the seventh layer that only a few white whistles are said to have seen. It's terrifying, you know, because it's like, we're learning about it in a way that's like, okay, be aware of them. We're getting information. We're trying to become prepared for them. But the mystery behind them is frightening, but so like exciting too. She hates deceiving children with silly tricks.
She's telling the truth. I really honestly appreciate Ozen's character. I think that the idea of being honest, obviously very bluntly and harshly so, with children, and like there's this respect element that I appreciate. Like she's respecting Liza by being truthful to Rico and Reg here and not deceiving them, because Liza directly asked, especially like for truth to be told, and we'll get there. But I think that I just really appreciate that there's this respect element of like, these kids aren't dumb, you know, and I think that a lot of people have a kind of warped idea of what a kid could handle, and I think sometimes it's kind of more self-serving that they wouldn't be completely honest with a child, or they'd think, oh, I don't want to talk to a child about that, maybe because they don't want to deal with the conversation. It could have been more that Habo was worried about not wanting to talk to Rico about it more so than he was thinking about Rico's own feelings. It's different things could be involved there of why an adult individual would have chosen to not inform Rico about certain parts of the past.
It's the screws loose kind of thing, right? Because like to somebody who isn't like Rico, that would probably elicit a much different response.
Yes, obviously the severity of it. I'm not saying go around and tell children that severe of information very clearly and harshly, but I do like that. Just if you like zoom out a little bit, the respect element of that, feeling like children could maybe handle a little bit more than we give them credit. I appreciate.
Marolk saying that it's bad of him, but if they did end up coming back, he'd be happy. And then he's seen so many people leave and not come back.
And they're already going on a mission that they're leaving and planning to not come back.
So Ozen's inner dialogue here, as expected, they were quick to pick up on cave raiding techniques, although I didn't want to let them go until more memories came back.
Which is fair. Now, when I process that line, I could understand why she feels that way.
It's interesting, though, because it's like, it implies that many memories have come back. And, like, from what we understand, there isn't much.
Like, none.
Very few.
Very few.
And it's like, and they don't really have too much context around them. And it's like, okay, it's another drop into the bucket of thinking that Reg was sent up to the surface because he isn't human, so he's able to come back up and assist Rico in coming down.
Coming back down, and that would mean that memories that Ozen would probably want unlocked are ones that have a good understanding of how to traverse the layers. And when Ozen was observing them in their survival, she was noting that Reg was very hesitant in movement and seemed to be very wary and startled even by things that, you know, if Reg had all Reg's memories, wouldn't necessarily be startled by. And if anything, is Reg's loss of memory and the fact that they're not all back yet almost a liability to Rico if we're identifying that Reg is the one that is more hesitant?
Maybe. I think that's a good point to bring up, and they might show us that.
We keep getting these enforcing lines like, Reg, it's your responsibility. Reg, you have to protect Rico.
Yeah.
And Reg is definitely the one that Ozen was spending a little bit more attention on understanding and also watching and scrutinizing a little bit during the survival.
I have so many questions in regards to why Reg. Because...
Why Reg?
Like... There's the implication that Ozen knows of Reg, right?
Mm-hmm.
But...
Or at least knows of his kind, like the Albids.
Yeah. In theory, theoretically, there'd be no reason that Reg is needed for Rico to eventually be able to make it to the bottom of the abyss by themselves. Therefore, why is there an implied rush to get Rico down there?
Yeah, why couldn't we have spent more time trying to get Reg's memories unlocked? Why is there a rush?
Why was Reg sent potentially in the first place?
That is a really great question. I mean, maybe we don't necessarily need Reg for it. We got information about the 5th layer, but maybe we're worried about once we get past the 5th layer, which is where people don't come back to tell you about what things are like, you know? We don't have information. Those are unknown areas. Therefore, Reg's memory of those areas would be vital information to survival.
Does Liza have only so much time that she wants to see Rico before she...
But how would Ozen even know that? Why would Ozen know or have a timeline of, I need to give them this amount of time to prepare them for this journey?
Even ignoring Ozen here, right? Just talking about, like, in theory, Reg's presence. That implies that, like, that there would be some desire that Rico would come down sooner rather than later. Right?
Yeah.
And... why is there a desire for Rico to come sooner rather than later? Is it just because the impatience of the matter, or is it because they wouldn't be able to see them again?
Are we just going with this?
Is it the curse of the abyss affecting Liza?
Is it this energy just of, this is a child that's been crawling toward the abyss and we're gonna support her all we can, and she's just drawn toward it, so we can't stop her?
Maybe.
Or is there something that Ozen knows about that just is not telling, but she's not one that deceives children, so I guess maybe it's a feeling or an intuition about something? Maybe
it lends itself to the information of Rico potentially being held hostage, and
the people would be coming for Liza's kid once they realized who
and
she
it being like, oh, I'm scared of that ever getting out, so the sooner the better, so that there's no risk of that happening.
Mm-hmm. But also the possible knowledge of the fact that Rico's was a corpse. Maybe the time is that they don't know how much time she has left, and they want mother and daughter to be reunited.
Yeah. Thanks to you, she's monstrously energetic now. My apprentice is already fed up with her. Well, that's splendid. You have an apprentice? His name's Druo, which is obviously, but we hadn't heard his name before, right?
We just call him Leader.
That rash and shameless kid who turned down my invitation.
And his line is so good. I prefer the Sovereign of Annihilation. I'm like...
The character of, I guess, Druo, but of Leader, is that of one that's incredibly interesting to me, because... obviously, he is a very important character.
Important, yes.
and his like conveying of information was very important, and he's protected Rico for so long, which is very important. But being an apprentice of somebody too, it like makes
Of
me
the
feel like
Sovereign
they're
of Annihilation.
that they are incredibly capable themselves, and
And
to
wasn't
not
he a purple whistle?
yeah, and to
moon
not
whistle.
utilize that physical capability for us as viewers on
Yes.
screen is a crazy choice to me, and like is making me so interested.
So why would you become the apprentice of the white whistle that is known to be the one that runs into action and killing monsters
Hmm.
if you're not going to wish to descend into the abyss and also do a bunch of annihilating?
Yeah.
Like, that's so interesting. Like, Leader took on almost like the job at obviously a young age, because Rico was born in this scene, and the kid we saw of Leader was probably around Rico's current age, and that took on this job of protecting and almost like raising, being an older brother
Mhm.
to this child, but still getting stronger. Like, obviously the shot we saw, Red Whistle,
Yep.
and we know now that it has changed.
Hmm.
But was Leader not descending and chose to take on this role at the orphanage because of Rico?
Do you think that we
Or-
will ever see Leader again?
That's what I'm wondering about. Like, I kind of want Leader to have more of a presence, knowing just how strong Leader is or could be, to the fact that Ozen tried to, like, what, recruit Leader?
Yeah.
Turn down my invitation?
Yeah.
We
Like-
can't just, like...
Like like I know the whole idea of they won't send search parties after a certain point, but the idea of like a Leader being like, I'm just gonna go down myself. I have that curiosity now. I know that it seems like Leader's not the type of person, but it would be interesting to
But there's
keep
also
that in mind.
this creation of a family.
I know.
Leader's almost like part of, like, yes, mother and daughter, but Ozen seems to almost be a part of this family in the same way that Leader is a part of this family. And so I feel like it kind of makes me sad to think that this was Leader's, mentor, the person that Leader idolized and looked up to.
Yeah.
He protected and basically raised her child until what, like, probably, I don't even know how old Rico and Frey are, like, necessarily.
Yeah.
I'm guessing somewhere from 7 to 12 area
Yeah.
is where I'm guessing. I don't know if we've ever been told. I think maybe 12 years old.
Yeah.
And to think that Leader's not going to be with them, or what does Leader do now? That's like really lonely.
Well, taking care of people, right? Like that's
All
an
those
important
other
job in
kids,
itself.
yeah, but if that was like to Leader his family and
Yeah.
the people that he wants to spend time with or care about, I would be like, why couldn't you bring him with you? Doesn't he want to see Liza again?
The fact that she hasn't dropped dead or been killed means you're doing a good job keeping her hidden. If it ever came to light that she's your daughter, she'd be kidnapped by ruffians while you're down in the abyss.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're lucky, she'd be held by hostage. But if you're unlucky, it's alright, my apprentice is top grade. Oh, I love her eyes. Rico is incredibly precious to me. I love her eyelashes.
I love when eyelashes are the same color
As
as
hair.
the hair.
Yeah. No matter the relic or whatever else of mine I offer as payment, it's not enough. Thanks to a whole heap of priceless things, that girl is alive right now. If I continue to stay with her, I'm liable to take Rico's right to set off on an adventure away from her. That's definitely motivated her reasoning for leaving, and I also love the detail that's added of like the glasses from birth being there. They're being wrapped around her ears so she doesn't drop them because she needs them or the headaches.
Yep.
I love how these scenes are drawn, and I myself will likely become separated from the abyss. Before that happens, I'm heading out. I love the feathers in her hair.
So that my girl is free to choose whatever path. And then Ozen
Ozen's like,
laughs.
LOL. Wonder what you're glossing over here. That urge to see the bottom. Oh, this is the best part of the episode to me. by far, best part of the episode to me. Hey, Ozen, if Riko once again sets out to reach the bottom, and in doing so comes to you, I'd like you to tell her. You mean about how she's a living corpse? That's right. I love, that was my favorite part of the episode right there, and seeing her hair blow. I love that this thing that Uncle Haba was alluding to, this terrifying, creepy thing, and that we were so scared of to learn about, is something that Liza was so excited and happy to tell Ozen to do.
Mm-hmm.
About how much of a miracle it took to make it so she's able to move it all. Look at her design. It's beautiful. About how to tackle the magnificent adventures that are waiting for her. What a great reveal. What a great shot. I love her outfit. I love her height. Amazing.
I like the word choice of a miracle, especially when we get that idea from Ozen that there's been a lot of things that have been kept secret from the surface and the people because it would shake faith.
Yeah.
And I feel like the idea of Riko's even existence is probably a held secret, especially because the vessel is still in the abyss. It's with Ozen. I feel like Habo and maybe a handful of Black Whistles and up are probably the only ones that know about it.
Yeah. In what episode were we shown the letter? So, I want to say in episode 2, we learned a bit about it, and Liza and getting her whistle. But, like, it's interesting the sequence of events that occurred in terms of the whistle coming back up, it being alluded to that there was a message with it, and then the opportunity that Leader took to then tell Riko more about how she came to be and what the glasses mean. Because it's like, it feels like, looking back on it, I didn't realize how full of intent and I was skeptical that it was a test at one point. Like, I'm a fucking idiot. Like, Leader was so, like, on board with this idea and, like, motivational and motivating in his idea of things that it was so cool. Like, it's so cool to think about in hindsight.
It's possible that Leader didn't know the corpse aspect.
Yeah.
Because the thing that Leader chooses to have an inner monologue about keeping secret of is international affairs.
Yeah.
Is the aftermath of not bringing the bell up. Not an inner dialogue about the same thing that Habo was worried about Riko finding out.
Yeah. So cool.
This show,
man.
I mean, I'm honestly a little bit scared,
so cool.
though. Like, you were like, I'm ready, and at the same time I said I'm not ready when they were looking at the fault. It looked terrifying. It looked deep, and I don't know what's down there, and I'm a little worried.
Dreams
Are down there. You can make your dreams come true down on the fifth layer.
It's just the thought of, this is why it's so compelling to me. Us as viewers are given vague ideas of what's down there, but just as much mystery there is to Riko and Reg there is to us as viewers.
Yeah.
And I truthfully feel like I'm along for the ride with them. And I'm so... the thought of there being the unknown is so amazing and compelling to me. And I wish that, like, in this fictional world throughout, you know, like, we've been given a device like the Abyss that is the epitome of the unknown, and that leads you to the opportunity to so easily and riskfully take that plunge into that unknown and that risk if you are crazy enough to do it. That is a little bit harder in our day-to-day life, in real life, right? It isn't like, oh, jump down this hole to figure out if aliens exist or not and you might die. Like,
it would be done. We would see people do it 100%.
You would never see me again.
Like, if a hole like the Abyss was found on the Earth, 100% a city would form around it. The same sort of situation would happen, and people would be trying to go down there and explore.
Or government cover-ups of it. they build a base over it and act like it didn't exist in the first place.
Then like get inner working tunnels, like try to like dig under the ocean.
Unbelievable. All right, that's all I have you.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And we hope to see you next time.